one of the things that has been asked a couple of times on this channel is, people are asking me, and I get it asked a lot when I'm running psychology groups and people come, is how do I help my friend? Me telling you, me giving you second-hand information and second-hand advice to help a friend of yours that I haven't met is going to be next to useless. It's actually very difficult to help people. In the individual case that I've just been asked about, the lady says to me, oh, you know, my mate, a male friend of hers, a mate was the victim of childhood sexual abuse, and he opened up about it, and then the next time she saw him, he closed back down. And she wants to help him. She says, how can I help him? So at this point, if I'm going to convey information to you, I'm going to say, okay, well, let's give you this therapist role for a second. And now, instead of just being the guy's friend, I need you to go into a pretend therapist role. When people are in that state and they've opened up about something and then they withdraw again, they're withdrawing again because they're worried that all this stuff, this crap from before, which comes out, when it comes out, can actually have a very negative impact on their lives. There was a model of psychotherapy that I think is a little bit out of date now that says just get it all out, just get it all out, go back, re-experience it, let's put you in a hypnotic trance and have you relive it, which I think is an awful idea at this point. I can't think why it would be useful to have somebody vividly relive an unpleasant experience, whether it was violence, psychological abuse, sexual abuse, whatever it is. I can't think why that would help, but there was a model that said, you know, you go through it again, you bring it all out, and it's just, and then it's out there, like literally like taking a, what do you call it, like a boil or something and drawing everything out. I don't think the mind works that way. So what can happen when people have experienced extremely traumatic abuse and then they open up about it, it then lends a new reality to it. And it's one of the dangers of therapy, is you can actually, rather than dealing with the trauma, you're actually just lending a new type of reality to it, even if it's positive. So it's very dangerous. So at this point, my friend, my dear, I would say tread very carefully with him. Do not directly approach him about the subject, okay? Respect his boundaries. By virtue of being extremely respectful of the other person's boundaries and holding yourself, hold your care in. Hold your care and your empathy and your compassion in. Be present with him. This sounds real fucking this is how it works. This is the good stuff. I'm giving you the goods on therapy here. Hold your care and compassion in. Go into the compassionate state, but do not project it out to him. The difficult thing is, especially with the human ego being the entity, the mechanism that it is it can become something other than you don't want this interaction to become something other than what it is. You don't want to be drinking up the suffering, drinking up the drama. And I'm not, don't get defensive. I'm not saying you would. I'm not saying that's in you to be that. But in the therapeutic coaching context, you've got to be so careful of putting the other person in that position of being less than you. If you go and look at the psychotherapy horror stories thread, every single one, the therapist has immediately, he stepped into that line, or she stepped into that minefield and immediately made that mistake. I'm the therapist, you are the one with the problem. Nothing is going to shut. I mean, that would drive me fucking nuts. This idea of, you know, making the other person naked and vulnerable, and you're in a position of, oh, you're naked and vulnerable, which I'm not naked and vulnerable. You know, why you know, if I'm going to sit here going into being a 5-year-old and crying over my mummy, I want my therapist to do the same thing as well. I'm kidding. There has to be an equality there. There has to be a respect of the boundaries, especially when the person is in pain, especially as a man. He's male, you're female. That is part of the context. That may make him more, it may make it more easy for him to open up to you. I don't know. It depends on his psychological outlook. So I would say the first piece of advice I would give you is tread very lightly. You want to help, but your wantingness might be a cause of resistance. What you resist persists. So if I come to you in therapy and I say, and I have the intent, I want to talk about your childhood trauma, and if you feel, because it's a hypersensitive issue, you then go into a hypersensitive state. If you feel for a second me push for that, open up, fucking hell. You know, you could really trigger the other person. You want to help him? Sit with him. Be normal. Just fucking Twitter on as you would. I do. When people are hurt, I'll just sit there and I'll be normal. They know that I know that we know that there's something, that there's an elephant in the room. But it's not, I don't need to go into, yes, now let's, you know, be weird and adopt this fucking, when I said go into therapy mode, I'm saying to you, for that moment, don't be a friend, because the friend has a political relationship. It's the nature, I'm not saying you, it's not you, it's the nature of friendships. That's why friends can't, it's difficult for friends to give really, really good life-changing advice, which is what we want to do. We want to really help that person in a way that is going to make their life better and reduce their suffering. Focus on reducing suffering first and foremost. So you will reduce his suffering by being present. He's brought this up with you. You don't bring it up with him. You don't bring it up with him. If he chooses to bring it up with you, that's fine. Be there, be present. All your compassion, all your wantingness to help, bring it in. Hold it in. Don't let him see it. Don't let him feel it, because it could become more about you than about him. You can only draw it out. This is real fucking mystical sounding stuff. With deep-seated trauma like that, it will come when it's ready, and you can only draw it out by your presence, and it's state-based. He decides when to come out of the cave, when to come out of his safe zone and reveal himself, and he decides. My client, the person who's experienced it, they decide when, where, how, and how much. I don't decide. That has to be very respectful. So I would just be around him, I'd just talk as normal, let him know you're there, let him know you're there as a friend. You don't have to say the words, hey, I'm here for you if you ever need to talk. You don't need to be so explicit. It's not necessary. Just be his mate, be his buddy, be his pal, be around him. He opened up to you before, so he already trusts you. This opening up might be a totally new experience for him, and now he's shut down. Allow the shutdown. Allow the shutdown. It's like kind of like a Zen sort of Buddhist approach. Just allow the shutting downness. Allow that. It's not necessarily bad. It doesn't all have to come out now. You don't have to have some, you know, special moment together. Just allow it. You know, stay focused on you. Stay focused on what you're doing. Keep moving forward with your life. Show him that you care. But for me, don't say the words, I'm here for you if you want to discuss this. Just show him. Show him that you care by making him a cup of tea, by having a chat with him, don't be different with him, don't be weird with him, just be around. Don't say I'm here for you, just be there for him. So actions speak louder than words in that context. I am quite cynical about how much help can be given. You know, I was asked on this channel, how can I help my friend who's depressed? How can I help my friend do this? How can I help Be a friend. We all need friends. Just be there, keep talking to him. Your presence is felt. The desire to help, the desire to come forward and take that, fix him, reel all of that in. It's not going to feel good to him. It's not going to. You're coming from pure lovingness, from pure compassion, but it could feel like an invasion. And you have to remember, with the victims of childhood sexual trauma, they've already been invaded by an authority figure in a position of control. So as a therapist, it's so easy for us to trigger them again. It's so easy for them to feel their space invaded upon again. So you kind of just have to sit with them and wait. And anything else could potentially be a trigger, and anything else could get you written off. So I should never, you don't want him to go into this place of I should never have opened up to her. Now she feels like she has a right to my secrets. Again, I'm not accusing you of being that personality type. I'm just warning you. These are sensitive areas. People are in a lot of pain there, and you've got to tread very, very lightly. So let him come to you. I could have just said, let him come to you, and then we wouldn't have wasted 10 minutes of our lives. God damn it. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. There's a way of letting him come to you. This is more art than science. This is the area, this is therapy, not coaching. Coaching, I think, can be taught as a formula. Really, I think, like, I could probably give somebody a clipboard and say, this is how you coach. Like, if you're going to do goal setting with somebody, or like life coaching and business coaching, sit side by side. You can literally take that stuff from a book. And if you go, are you ready to commit to these goals? Yes, okay, let's write them down. That's like, when are we going to do this? Give me a date. That's coaching. That's yang, forward, movement, this way. Masculine, driving, okay? This is therapy. It's feminine. It's yin. It's more passive. It's like an allowingness. It's you draw it out. Yeah, there you go. You draw it out. But how you draw it out is tough. It's tough in the sense of skill. Like, you've got to have a really good sense. You screw up once, you break rapport with the client, or in this case with your friend, it's gone. That's it. You won't get it back. You won't get it back. So, and I learned this when I was in my early 20s. Tread ever so lightly. And you do have to kind of play a game. It is kind of like theatre. To the extent that you want a certain result, but you have to not want it in order to get it. The faster you drive towards that goal, the faster they're going to shut down. So you do have to play this role of kind of indifference but compassion, like a compassionate indifference. You create a neutral space, and you play the role as a method actor. So that means that you actually take your mind to a place where you believe it. So when I'm sat with a client, I don't just go, oh, I must pretend that I don't care, that I'm compassionate but indifferent to the result. I actually have to take my mind and my emotions to a place of indifference. If this happens today, then it happens today. If it doesn't happen today, then I accept that also, and they're equal in my mind. It will happen next time. It will happen when it's ready to happen, and that's where you need to take your mind to. If that sounds overly complicated, maybe it's because it is a complicated issue. I don't want you to break rapport with your friend. I want to help you to help him. And I truly, honestly believe that this is the best way to do it. Tread oh so lightly. Very, very lightly, very, very carefully. Okay, that's enough on that one. Thank you very much for your time and your attention, and I will speak to you soon.